Oof, Spider-Man 2, what a game. I sure hope there's some extra story DLC to play. Okay, maybe there are other games to play? Okay, how about that conveniently placed game on the desk? Okay, yeah, of course I'll play the sequel. Oh my god, this game has Morbius in it. Probably inserted it the wrong way. Hi, I'm Daniel, and Twitter told me the PS5 has no games on it. So, this is Spider-Man 3, developed by Vicarious Visions for the Nintendo Wii. The same version which you'll find on the PS2 and PSP, but distinct from the next-gen version of the game. And yes, you heard me right earlier, despite being the adaptation of the universally acclaimed masterpiece of the film, in my head anyway, it contains extra villains and set pieces, including Morbius, who in recent times has become relevant on the internet for some reason. And heck, if we're comparing between the game and the movie, it's pretty damn impressive that a good chunk of the cast from the movie also voiced their characters in this game. Although, I think it's clear that whatever they were getting from this gig was probably less than ideal, because a lot of the performances here leave a lot to be desired.
Harry, get them away from here.
Harry, get them away from here. But there is one standout, and it's Bruce Campbell as the witty narrator who instructs you through the game and narrates the tutorial. Brilliant casting choice in line with the Raimi movies, and his lines are actually pretty funny.
Whoever said being a hero is easy. If the bad guys are giving you too much trouble, feel free to adjust the difficulty setting. I won't tell. Feeling lost? Need direction? Well, you could join a cult, or just use the handy point of interest markers that appear on the screen to help show you where to go. Okay, so now when you mount some big guy and smash him, he's gonna feel it a bit more. And no, I don't have a family-friendly joke I can use here.
And speaking of the tutorial, that's where the game begins. We learn the basics of combat, ground traversal, and interacting with the world, while we're trying to save some people and this building from being blown up by the H-Bombers gang. Now, the combat in this game is a little janky, but it's not completely unusable or terrible. It really just boils down to lots of swinging the Wii remote to attack and dodging at the correct moments with the nunchuck. Now, it's not exactly just flailing the Wii remote around. You can perform attack combos with the correct successive actions, and using these basic attack combos are usually the best way to deal with enemies. There is also the adrenaline meter, which builds up as you attack. When it's filled up, you can perform specific powerful moves to deal with multiple enemies at once. Successive hits will build up a combo, which earns you experience points. Fill up the XP meter and you'll earn a hero point, which brings us to the upgrade tree.
Nothing in life is free. Hey, I even get paid for reading these loser lines. If you want to improve your skills, you're gonna need to spend some hero points to do it.
The game features an entire upgrade tree, albeit quite basic, and you use your hero points to purchase upgrades. There is a lot of melee combat in this game, so I think those upgrades are the most useful, but honestly at some point I stopped caring about the upgrade tree and still got through the game fine. After that initial tutorial, we are taught web swinging, of course. Always a very important part of any Spider-Man game. Thanks to playing this game a lot when I was younger, all of this is ingrained as muscle memory for me. Now, it doesn't feel excellent, especially compared to what we have in newer games, of course, but it's pretty usable and doesn't feel super slow. Swinging with the Wii remote shoots a web from Spidey's right hand, and swinging with the nunchuck shoots from the left, which is more important than it might sound, because web swinging in this game is very reliant on actually having a physical spot to attach the web to. This causes the most flow disruptions and jank whenever you're just swinging through the city.
It's weird, for some reason they made it so like you must have like the web has to attach to something. That's why I'm being yanked toward these buildings.
But again, still completely usable. Once we're done with that, we get introduced into the crime system for this game. Now, in terms of differences between the game and the movie, this has to be one of the wildest ones to me, because it seems like the crime gangs that you encounter in this game are completely unique and newly written entities just for this game, including the aforementioned H-Bombers, Waste Tribe, Apocalypse, and Dragon Tales. I don't know, I think it's wild, but also honestly pretty cool that the writers decided to come up with essentially all new villain gangs for use between both versions of the game, instead of just pulling from existing Spider-Man property. The game's map will show you which areas of the city are controlled by which gang, and at these locations you can start these mini missions where you essentially defeat a few enemies, do a quick task, and repeat a few times. Now, apart from the few times in the story where they require you to complete these, you can completely ignore this system and not be affected by it at all. In fact, you're not really missing out on much anyway, as you'll see later. But yes, the more you weaken one gang, another gang or the police will gain more territory. Oh, and yeah, I guess I better mention the frame rate. It is absolutely atrocious for most of the game. You are blessed with relatively smooth FPS in indoor areas, but outside in New York, it's an absolute mess. The Nintendo Wii, everyone, renowned for its performance. And yes, the Big Apple, New York City. Probably part of the reason for the slowdown is simply due to how large the city is. For some reason, the city actually has a massive scale to it, and I applaud them for this effort, but unfortunately, it doesn't really play much of a role in the gameplay. They do like stringing you along for massive distances between missions for some reason.
Connor's lab.
Oh my god, why do they make us we have to travel 3,000 freedom units?
But there is absolutely nothing to do in the city. It's very lifeless, although as you progress through the story, the look of the city does become more dilapidated, which is a nice touch. After all the intro tutorials are done, we get into our first proper mission. Peter still needs to earn some cash, so it's off to the Daily Bugle to ask JJ for something to do. While there, the H-bombers call in a bomb threat for Daily Bugle buildings around the city, and we're off to save the day.
Parker!
After defeating a few enemies, we defuse the bomb. Okay, not really, we just sort of dispose of it into the river.
It's fine, there's no side effects to throwing bombs into the river. I'm sure. I think that's a bit too close, Spider-Man, not gonna lie.
Disarm a few more bombs on the building, safely dispose of another bomb, defeat another few enemies again, and the building is saved. On to the next mission.
I wonder if things have settled down at the Bugle yet. Couldn't hurt to see if JJ has another job for me.
The lizard icon is not a spoiler in the slightest.
Yep, these giant lizards roaming New York are but a small hint to another unique villain coming up. Photograph a few lizards, then save a few civilians from the roaming lizards, which is Spider-Man's responsibility for some reason. We then meet up with MJ.
So Harry still won't talk to you?
I've tried everything, MJ. He just won't listen. He's convinced I killed his dad.
Heard him.
They're just assuming that you know the events of the last game. Oh, don't worry about that. That's fine. Just New York things. Yep, that's Harry Osborn.
Then we take MJ home.
Stop it! I'm gonna get sick!
Get used to these voice lines. Oh no.
Stop it! I'm gonna get sick!
Yep.
Come on in, Spider-Man.
After we leave her apartment, we get ambushed by Harry, and here comes our first boss battle. It involves swinging your Wiimote and nunchuck to avoid the traffic, and when you see a big enough break in the traffic, you can try and jump onto Harry's glider, which starts a series of quick time events. Do this a few times, and that's that. As Peter feels guilty over injuring Harry, the symbiote sees its chance and strikes.
Whoa. Brilliant.
And we get our first introduction into Spidey's black suit. Essentially how it works is that you can equip it for a short time, and as you attack more enemies, you build up your rage instead of adrenaline. When your rage bar fills up, the black aura on the screen starts creeping in, which is the indicator for you to switch back to your normal suit. If you leave it for too long, the black suit takes control and you just end up dying. After switching, you'll end up waiting for a cooldown before being allowed to equip the suit again. The big advantage of the black suit is that Spidey's attack become a lot more powerful. Also, purchasing upgrades is disabled while using the black suit.
Upgrades cannot be Upgrades cannot be purchased while in the black suit. What black suit isn't good enough for you? God damn it.
On to the next mission, where we encounter the H-bombers yet again. JJ gets kidnapped by the H-bombers and gets a proximity-based electric collar put on him. Their leader is revealed as Luke Carlisle, who was mad at JJ for writing a bad story about him in his paper. Now, Luke is actually an existing Spider-Man character, essentially a con man who becomes CEO of a company.
Brilliant. Oh god. Well, what's the point? Did he know he was gonna catch him like that?
We have to follow the helicopter and also defuse a few more bombs, this time using the much more safe method of raining down debris all over New York. We eventually end up with Carlisle's boss fight, which consists of flinging his own bombs back at him while fending off enemies. Defeat him and JJ is saved.
Wow, it worked.
Very funny.
Next up, Doc Connors is now a lizard. Out of all of the unique villains in this game, Doc Connors as the lizard might be one of the coolest inclusions, as it's something that we likely missed out on because we got no more Raimi films. Now ensues the chase for Connors while saving people in between and defeating more lizards.
Into the sewer. Oh, God, that render is so cool. What's this guy doing in the sewer?
Yep, I'm in the right place.
Oh my God, it's so much smoother now. There's frames, it's running at 60, looks like.
We traverse through the sewer and have to handle a few enemies. We get introduced to larger enemies who you can fight by doing a mounted attack, although I can never get it to work properly.
Hey, what? It doesn't work. I pressed A. God, he's just so misunderstood.
And yet another unique villain for this game, Kraven the Hunter, returning from the previous game of course. He's come down to New York just to hunt down the lizard. We get caught up in a precarious situation with a boring machine chase.
Move it, Spidey. This is not a drill. Well, actually it is. Faster, Spidey. You know the drill.
Ha 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 ha.
And get conveniently led to Doc Connors' boss battle.
Nowhere to run now, Doc.
You shouldn't have followed me, Spider-Man.
Basically the standard affair of avoiding his attack patterns and other enemies while trying to get your hits in. Here's my highlights reel of this boss battle.
Nice.
Next time I won't move.
God damn it.
A few quick time events and Connors manages to escape for now. Now, as mentioned earlier, we've reached the point where we are required to complete some gang missions in order to find leads for Connors and Kraven, specifically the Dragon Tales ones. Essentially, you go to the marker and talk to an informant who has intel on Dragon Tales stuff, and you're pointed to where the Dragon Tales are doing something nefarious. Deal with them and someone will have some extra info on where another problem is and repeat a few times. You just have to do a few of these missions until the game says you're done, and it drops the next main waypoint. And onto Kraven's boss battle.
Lizard servant.
No! What did you do?
You, insect, will look very nice on my wall.
What?
Again, pretty similar to the previous lizard battle. Try to get enough hits in while dodging Kraven and the enemies. When he gets down to half health, he drinks something and starts going full hedgehog. Defeat the normal enemies, which opens up Kraven for attack, rinse and repeats. A few extra times in my case.
Okay, game. Okay. Reliably. Finally.
Looks like hunting season's over.
And right onto Connor's next boss battle. Right, he survived his stab in the back and injects himself again.
What the hell?
So you've got to get him to run into these conveniently placed electric generators by luring him, and then jockeying him while periodically restarting the generators and eventually landing the final blow.
You'll be okay, Doc. I'll get you to the hospital.
And you're unceremoniously thrown back into the overworld.
Now what? Wait, what? Okay.
Deal with the remaining lizards and head back to Connor's lab to check up on him. Well, there isn't much checking out. I guess he's completely back to normal now.
I feel like it's trying to control
I caused havoc and perhaps killed many people, but that's fine. Back to just being a scientist.
Let's see if JJ has any work for me.
We have reached the funny moment of this game.
Yep, JJ wants some photos of a vampire going around sucking everyone's blood. I hope this vampire doesn't have a really funny name or something. Anyways, at this point, New York looks a lot darker as mentioned earlier. We jump onto a police car to listen in on Morbius' sighting info, and there he is in the flesh. Take a photo for the Bugle and back to Connors for another update.
Oh, he died. Never mind.
Maybe I should have taken a nap when you needed my help.
Okay.
I didn't mean that, Doc. This thing's just got me on edge. I'm sorry.
I understand.
He's just staring at him.
Unfortunately, I've only hit dead ends.
MJ, what do you want? No, I haven't found out anything. Don't call back.
Whoa. Peter's being an
All
edge
those
lord.
tests and nothing.
What is
Me up on
happening?
the wrong night, Count.
And yep, we're already on to a Morbius boss battle. There were a few phases here. First, you've got to keep trapping Morbius in some web and stall until the sun comes out. The second phase is much the same, although you can now get some hits in. Once down to half health, the third phase begins with some quick time events and zero warning of the controls being returned back to you.
I'm not expecting quick time events. What? Just what? Out of nowhere. Oh my god, do not bring, please. You are joking. Right to the start of this section again?
Right, and dying brings you back to the first phase for maximum tedium. Anyways, the sun comes out and incapacitates Morbius to surely cause no more trouble. We take Morbius back to Connors and he reveals his wife did this to him, although she wasn't herself, and asks for our help to fix everything. Q's Shriek, who in this story is the wife of Michael Morbius, who leads the aforementioned Waste Tribe gang, or as Peter refers to them.
Looks like she's got the local goon squad fighting for her.
No, Peter, no, don't say that. It's 2024, that means something else.
Defeat the goon squad, help some brainwashed civilians, and we're already on to Shriek's first boss battle. The game doesn't really tell you what you're meant to do at the start, but I accidentally found out you're meant to reflect her attacks with the conveniently placed satellite dishes, which lets you pull the meteorite rocks from the obelisk. And repeat this a few times. We sort of just let Shriek casually float away, I guess, and deduce that Morbius really needs Shriek to help his worsening condition. And on to another set of mandatory gang missions to track down Shriek's hideout. Same drill as before, this time with the Waste Tribe. Eventually, we find a trail of shards, which leads us to Shriek's hideout, which is on this tiny island with an annoying bridge to cross. And it must just be for the cause of padding out the runtime at this point, but the game has us go all the way back to pick up Morbius just to bring him back onto the island, in the daylight for some reason. And wouldn't you know, we get the Morbius and Shriek boss battle. Pull down the pallets blocking the sunlight and lure Morbius into the sun to get some hits on him. Do this a few times to weaken Morbius, and we move on to Shriek's part of the battle.
What's going on? Normally I like playing games, lady, but Sudoku this ain't.
Peter, help me!
MJ, no!
Sooner or later, those you love will pay the price for your misguided heroics, or they'll mourn your loss.
What do you know about loss?
It's a funny meme. It's not that funny, actually.
Turns out the meteorites from before are related to our symbiote as well, as we can change into the black suit to escape the mind tricks and get some hits in. This cycle happens a few times and you can just outrun the fake enemies while the cooldown is in progress.
You're fired.
That's it. You're fired.
You're a bum.
You're a bum.
You're a disappointment, Peter, in every sense of the word.
You think you're a hero, Peter, but to me, you're just a man who killed my father.
I'm not falling for your tricks.
Deplete her health and Shriek saves Morbius and the roles get reversed. Now Shriek is in need of saving, but that's effectively the end of the Morbius Shriek storyline. Yep, that's it for Spidey for this one. We don't see them again in the story. Well, that's all the threats in the city taken care of. Peter has vowed to give the black suit a break, and surely we can relax for a little moment. We're instantly thrown into the Sandman boss battle that mirrors the movie setting, which involves the true tried and tested quick time events and dodging attacks. Eventually, we reach the bottom of this pit and Peter immediately reneges on his own promise to rid of the black suit. Anyways, open up water pipes just like in the movie and get some attacks in to win the battle. We've reached peak moodiness and the symbiote has all but consumed Spider-Man as we make our way to a day with MJ wearing the black suit.
You've hardly said 3 words all night. Is everything all right?
I figured you were talking enough for both of us.
Peter, what's gotten into you lately?
Nothing that stopping your gums from flapping wouldn't solve.
What the f?
I think you should take me home. Now.
Get in the Spider-Man suit, Peter. Take me home. What is he doing?
Take her home and demolish some enemies before MJ puts our relationship on hold because we're being terrible, and now Peter decides that the suit must go for good.
This black suit has got to go. Need some privacy. Somewhere to clear my head.
You can have one joking session, then you can get rid of it.
Huh. What's he up to?
And who's he? This is the first time we see Mr. Eddie Brock.
Parker?
How can he see? How could he possibly tell? His face isn't even visible.
Anyways, only here right near the end of the game do we get the Venom transformation, and he immediately finds Marco to hatch a plan to team up and kill Spider-Man. And by hatch a plan, I mean threaten to kill Marco's daughter if he doesn't help, which, if you need a reminder, this doesn't happen in the movie. He is way more sadistic in this game. Of course, another reminder that at this point, because this is like the first time Eddie's been in the story, there is absolutely zero reason provided for why he wants to kill Peter this badly, but whatever.
My jaw has just dropped. I don't know what this is.
Anywho, Peter needs a little break and maybe has a moment to relax, but I think we all know where this is going. So just like in the movie, they capture MJ. But unlike the movie, Harry is still in hospital after all this time, but I guess is well enough to help us out and also forgives us. One last moment of traversing the city into the final mission. We start with Sandman, where we have to fling back into his mini tornado thing to create attack openings, and with that done, Harry makes his final valiant appearance to help us out. Now it's time to battle Venom, and it really comes down to attacking and dodging as usual. At this point, if you've bothered to use the upgrade tree and actually practice some of those attacks, you'll probably have a significantly easier time here, but I was stuck with my good old 5-hit combo and vaulting combination. Also, there's a 5-minute limit, which I would have run into a few times if I didn't end up dying first. Just a bit of trial and error and help from Harry and we get the job done. MJ and Marco's kid are saved.
He took your little girl, and he killed her.
Your little girl?
What? Okay, I really need to rewatch the movie just to see how this compares.
Onto Sandman's final boss battle. Work with Harry to plant some bombs in him and send him to hell and back, including Harry, who gets flung in by Venom.
Harry!
Holy shit. Harry gets decimated in this game. That does not happen in the movie.
Fair's fair, Parker. Now it's time for a little one-on-one. The game ends here.
Peter's just like, oh well, anyway, time to defeat you.
And finally, for the final boss battle of this whole game, Venom, who is angry at us for some reason. And just for this final boss battle, the composer went off with the soundtrack. Not sure what to tell you if you're expecting anything different from the usual array of swinging the Wiimote like hell to get some attacks in and doing a preset QuickTime event a few times. But yep, that's exactly what happens.
I couldn't control it.
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone. Mission complete. Experience aborted. MJ's like, oh, you saved me. We're back to where we were before.
MJ and Peter are all made up now, Marco gets his daughter back, and we get a slight mention of the fact that Harry got f***ing blown to smithereens.
Being Spider-Man always comes with a price. And today that price was a steep one.
What a video game. And we end with the coolest poster known to man.
Well, there you go, Spider-Man 3 for the Nintendo Wii. Weirdly ambitious and trying to tell a story with villains unique to this game, while sort of very loosely following the movie of which it's based on. You've got some of the bits and plot points from the movie, but it's completely missing Gwen Stacy, MJ's acting struggle, Harry's amnesia, and Bully Maguire. Now dig on this. Even with my limited surface level analysis throughout this video, it still feels like I'm thinking about it too much. I played this game again and again as a kid, filling out all of the save files, having an absolute blast, and never being able to finish it. But ultimately, this game was probably made with a younger audience like that in mind, and the numerous cut corners in story quality and gameplay obviously was not on my mind as a kid. Back then, having a pretty large New York open world to swing around in was awesome, and the many awkwardly animated and voice acted cutscenes still give me reason to laugh today, so it has that going for it. Of course, looking back on it now, you can tell the developers were probably working with a limited budget and/or time, and probably quite limited information about the movie itself. Heck, they both came out on the same day, which this sort of thing isn't uncommon for tie-in video games from the era. But they've managed to put together a game which is still more than playable from start to finish, thankfully in a short amount of time. Well, I think that satisfied my Spider-Man video game urge for a little bit, and now back to thinking about the ever-eternal question of why these two word marks use the same font.